What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Malifaux Lore Guide, and this week we are jumping into Jacob Lynch of the Ten Thunders. So spoilers coming up for all of Jacob's stories, and you can find a list of those stories in the description below. And do me a quick favor and give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And now let's get going on Lynch. Jacob Lynch is one of the most avid gamblers in all of Malifaux. After winning the Honey Pot Casino in a high-stakes game of poker, Lynch's lack of management skills soon finds the casino on the verge of going out of business. He is approached by a backer who offers him a loan in exchange for part ownership of the casino, and Lynch eagerly takes him up on the offer. And business gets better, but not good enough for him to be able to pay back the loan in time. When the backer returns and tells him that he has 24 hours before the Ten Thunders come and drown him in the river, Jacob decides that it is hopeless and goes to the river to drown himself before they can. However, just as he is about to jump in, he is grabbed by a man who introduces himself as Mr. Graves and his partner Mr. Tannen, who tell Jacob that their employer has a proposition for him. They offer him the money to pay back the loan and a recurring customer base, all in exchange for their employers being able to use the basement of the casino, no questions asked. With their arrangement in place, business at the casino improves, and Lynch resists the temptation to investigate what they are doing in his basement, until one day when he sees Mr. Tannen escorting one of their regular patrons to the basement, and he notices that the man seems to have glowing eyes. He follows them into the basement and finds a large black tentacled creature that seems to absorb all the light in the room. Tannen puts the patron in front of the monster, and it inhales a stream of glowing energy as the man slumps over. The creature notices Lynch and speaks directly into his mind, beckoning him forward, and then exhales a cloud of energy into Lynch's face, which causes him to cough, asking what the hell is going on. Tannen and the creature seem surprised, and it speaks to him again, telling him that he would like to offer him an arrangement that will be mutually beneficial. The creature explains that it goes by the name the Hungering Darkness, and that it is from the time of the tyrants, though it is not one of them. It explains that after the tyrants were imprisoned, it found itself alone and unable to feed itself, and that after many centuries, it was found by two Neverborn, who took human form and became its servants. It goes on to explain that it imbues other creatures with a small fraction of its power, that it calls brilliance, that causes them to get addicted and return for more, at which point he is able to absorb that power back, giving him sustenance. However, Lynch seems to be resistant to this power, and the Hungering Darkness would like to anchor itself to Jacob, granting him some of its power and allowing the Hungering Darkness the freedom to move about as he wishes. Jacob senses that he will not be leaving the basement alive if he doesn't take the offer, and so he agrees. Shortly after the Ten Thunders begin their infiltration of Malifaux, Jacob Lynch cooperates with Misaki on one of her plans. Chiaki leads the personification of Van Helsing and Sherlock Holmes on a murder mystery which brings them to the Honey Pot Casino. Jacob shows him to a staged murder scene, which eventually leads the man to the Library of Everything, which is a collection of stories and fables that influences the people of Malifaux and its culture. Once there, Misaki reveals that their plan is to destroy some of the stories and fables of the people of Malifaux in order to replace them with ones from the Three Kingdoms, helping to further cement the Ten Thunders' foothold in the city. Jacob gets escorted to a secluded warehouse by several armed and masked guards of the Ten Thunders. He is put in a room where Misaki and Mei Fang appear to be having a conversation. He helps himself to a seat, and Mei Fang gets angry at the apparent disrespect, but Misaki calms her down and offers Jacob some tea. Jacob asks why he was brought there, and Misaki responds that she wants information. Jacob asks what information she wants from him, and she says none, as an old man wearing robes seems to appear across the table. He tells Jacob that they don't want information from him, but the being that dwells within him. Jacob plays dumb, but the old man pushes harder, and Jacob's eyes roll back in his head as the voice of the Hungering Darkness fills everyone's mind. Yanlo tells it that ancient powers are rising to threaten them all, and the Hungering Darkness asks him why it should concern him. Yanlo responds that he should be concerned because last time the tyrants rose, the Hungering Darkness almost didn't survive. Hungering Darkness insists that the tyrants have been banished and that they cannot return, and Yanlo counters that he has felt their presence. It goes on to explain that it is not powerful enough to defeat them, and Yanlo says that it is going to teach them how to trap the tyrants once again. Jacob receives a letter that purports to be from Lucius Matheson, the Governor General's secretary, requesting that he arrange a private meeting site for them, and telling him that his aide will appear 15 minutes before him. Jacob receives the aide and offers him tea, and they make small talk for a few minutes before Jacob reveals to him that he knows the letter was a forgery. He asks the man why he requested the meeting, and he responds that he needs the help of Jacob's employer. Jacob remarks that that is not as specific a request as he might think, but leads the man into a secluded room in the honeypot, where Misaki waits for them. She reveals that she knows the man is looking looking to smuggle something through the breach in an attempt to get around the guild's recent lockdown. They ask him what he is looking to smuggle, and he tells them that he's actually looking to smuggle something out of Malifaux, and that something is himself. Misaki and Jacob are surprised, and Misaki tells the man that with all the dangers present in Malifaux, that he occupies one of the safest positions with a job of some authority and respect within the guild, and she does not understand why someone like him would be trying to leave and risking his safety by coming to them. Jacob asks him what is so dangerous that is going on at the guild, and he tells them about the governor's plan to ascend. After the Thunders successfully sabotage the Governor General's ritual, leading to his death, the Thunders once again ask Jacob for help, this time in acquiring information about Nythera. However, the Hungering Darkness insists that Jacob not give them any information, and explains to him that it houses Titania, who could help them defeat the tyrants, but is just as likely to try to destroy all life in Malifaux. Jacob agrees, and later finds out that the Free Corps have found the location of Nythera and are heading there to try to acquire a weapon. He sends Mr. Graves to alert Lilith in hopes that she will stop them, but she fails, and Titania is released from her prison. Upon her return, the Hungering Darkness withdraws some of his power from Jacob in hopes that he won't be detected by Titania. Even though he is not a tyrant, he fears that Titania will not care about the distinction, and then he gets Lynch to start buying up more taverns around the city in order to spread his power through Brilliance-tainted alcohol. When Misaki challenges her father, the Oyabun of the Ten Thunders, to a duel, Jacob Lynch is among the few people who choose to stand in Misaki's corner, taking a great risk in defying the current Oyabun. He watches as Misaki deftly cuts down her father, taking his place as leader of the organization. When his generals attempt to pledge their loyalty to her, Misaki gives the order to kill them, and Lynch is among the few that stayed loyal to her and helps to cut down the others. One of McCabe's hucksters sells a potion to a woman who runs a temperance hall that he claims can cure a person of their drunkenness. When it turns out that the potion does actually have some healing abilities, it attracts a lot of attention to the temperance hall, and the huckster realizes he must steal the potion back before word gets back to McCabe and he gets in trouble. Jacob watches from the shadows as the huckster approaches the hall and peeks in a window to see the woman doing an interview with a newspaper reporter. She explains to the reporter that this potion can even cure a drug addiction, and she wheels in a person with glowing eyes and an emaciated body. The huckster realizes he's running out of time and jumps in the window and slashes the reporter's throat. The woman pleads with him to spare her life, and he considers it, but suddenly the lights flicker and he hears a voice commanding him to kill the woman and take the potion. He senses a dark presence, and as the lights flicker again, he slashes out with his blade, catching the woman in the chest. She pleads with him again, but he once again hears the voice, this time coming from the drug-addled patient, commanding him to kill the woman and take the potion. After considering it for a second, he raises his knife and then smashes the bottle. Outside, Lynch walks away from the temperance hall, considering that many people will be disappointed that they have lost their miracle cure and will need a way to drown their sorrows, and he also regrets the death of McCabe's huckster. Nekima goes to the mountains in the north and finds the giant Euripides and asks him to look into the future for her. He reads the signs and tells her that a hungering darkness will rise up to spread its power through Malifaux, and that Nekima will oppose it, but will fail to stop it. Nekima returns to her forest and summons 2 Nephilim human hybrids before her, ordering them to head to the Honeypot Casino and kill Jacob Lynch. Tuco and Angel Eyes recruit some more muscle and head to the city, where they plan to sneak into the casino through a back entrance. Jacob is standing on the 2nd floor of the casino, surveying the floor. His liaison from the Ten Thunders is scolding him for making business decisions without consulting him first. Jacob tells the man that he had discussed the decision with the Oyabun herself, knowing that this would get under the man's skin. As they talk, Mr. Tannen approaches and tells Jacob that they are having a remarkably peaceful day on the gambling floor. This worries Jacob, and he says that a calm always precedes this storm. Just then they hear a gunshot ring out, and the 3 men rush to find the source of the noise. As they do, a stick of dynamite flies onto the floor and explodes, sending crowds of people rushing in all directions. They start taking fire and duck for cover, and are able to recognize that the assailants are 4 Nephilim hybrids. Jacob wonders what he could have done to incur their wrath, and the presence inside his head assures him that Nekima is striking blindly. He turns to the Thunder's representative and tells the man that while he has no reason to defend Jacob's life, he should however be inclined to punish this affront to the Ten Thunders' territory. The man agrees, and Jacob makes a run for it, drawing his holdout pistol, and sensing several paths forward and what their consequences will be. He takes a wild shot, which catches a cask of alcohol on fire, and distracts the shooter just enough so that she misses him. As she recovers, Mr. Tannen flicks a coin at her, and the reflections distract her, just long enough for Mr. Graves to attack. As he swings at her violently, one of the other hybrids catches his blow, and the 2 of them tangle with each other. Another stick of dynamite explodes and knocks Lynch to the ground, as one of the hybrids approaches him and levels its gun at his head. Just then the Ten Thunders man attacks the hybrid and snaps its neck, leaving it limp on the ground, but he is then quickly shot in the midsection and collapses himself. The shooter reloads her rifle and approaches him, preparing to end his life, but Lynch turns to the crowd of people, still frantic frantically running for cover and announces loudly that he will give a full bottle of his most brilliant whiskey to any person who can bring him this woman's head. The crowd stops and looks in her direction, and before she can respond, they all rush the remaining hybrids. Lynch uses this distraction to get away, as Mr. Tannen sneaks up behind the hybrid that is grappling with Mr. Graves and stabs it in the shoulder, allowing Graves to kill it. The two remaining hybrids assess the situation, realizing that they are overwhelmed, and the shooter decides to retreat, dragging the other hybrid with her. After the battle, Jacob surveys the damage and tells one of his employees to give each of the customers a shot, as they have earned it for doing their part in the battle. He checks on the Thunder's representative and orders somebody to call for a low river healer to help him and to inform the Oyabun of what has happened here. He then speaks to Mr. Graves, telling him that the Nephilim want him dead, and Mr. Graves asks if he is thinking about running. Lynch responds that there will be no running for him, but that he may be running out of time, and Mr. Graves tells him that if Lynch will have them, he and Tannen intend to stay in his employ. Lynch is not sure whether to be proud or scared, but he agrees, and the Hungering Darkness also agrees to stay with Jacob, and this time Lynch is sure he should be scared. So that's it for Jacob Lynch. I wonder if we'll ever get to see that showdown between him and Nekima. Even though he's been pushed out of the faction, maybe he'll work with Zoraida and Pandora to try to save Lilith. And I wonder how that'll affect his loyalty to the Ten Thunders. But anyway, drop a comment below and let me know what master you'd like to see me cover in an upcoming video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and maybe consider passing the video along to somebody else who you think might like it. And thanks for watching.